Okay, um, now that you've had your Unit 1 test, we're going to take a culture break before we head into Chapter 6. This culture break is going to be on Roman history. We're going to start out with the Seven Kings of Rome, starting out with the founding of Rome. The very first piece of information I want you to learn is the Trojan War ending 1184 BC. Aeneas is a Trojan fleeing Rome. He flees with his old father, his young son. So he has his old father on his shoulders. He's carrying him out as Troy is being destroyed. He's holding his little son's hand, and his wife is actually supposed to be following him. Her name is Lavinia, Lavinia. He does some travels, all sorts of travels, but eventually he ends up in Italy, and he founds Lavinium, named after his lost dead wife that ends up getting killed because he apparently walks too fast, doesn't pay any attention, and she ends up dying back in Troy. And he names the town Lavinium after her in Italy when he arrives there and founds it, and it's Lavinium. His descendants, several years later, 400 years later or so, Romulus and Remus are twins, and they together found Rome, but they have this boundary that they make, and they're having an argument on what they're going to name it, the city that they're founding. And Remus crosses the boundary, and Romulus kills him, so he gets to name the city, and it's named Roma, Roma, first declension noun, it's an A, feminine. And so he becomes the very first king of Rome that he found. And he's king from 753 BC to 715. The second king after Romulus is Numa Pompilius, and that's Numa Pompilius, Pompilius, and he rules 715 to 673 BC. He's a Sabine. It's Sabine. He's also a priest, and he's the second king. He does the calendar. Not the calendar we use today, that's actually the Julian calendar. Well, a version of it, anyway. And if that sounds familiar, think of Julius Caesar. Um, and that explains that. The third king of Rome is Tullus Hostilius. That's Tullus, Tullus, Hostilius, Hostilius, and he ruled 673 to 642 BC. And he's actually killed by a lightning bolt, so it says killed by lightning. I know you can't really read it. And the fourth king of Rome is Ancus Marcius. His ruling dates are 642 to 617, and you spell that, I guess it's 617, the next one says 616, so I guess it was like the very end of 617 and then to 616. But I'll look it up and make sure and let you know. The name of Ancus is spelled Ancus. His name, Marcius, is Martius. That's what it says about that. He built the first bridge in Rome. It's called the Pons Sublicius, Sublicius, and it's a wooden bridge. Pons Sublicius. The fifth king of Rome is Tarquinius Priscus, and that's 616 to 579. Tarquinius is Tarquinius. Priscus is Priscus. And he made his slave his heir, which made his sons very mad. You can imagine. And so that will explain further about what happens with the seventh king of Rome. I mean the sixth king of Rome. Sorry about that. The sixth king of Rome is Servius Tullius. His dates are 578 to 535. And his spelling is Servius, and it's Tullius, Tullius. Servius is kind of a reminder of Servus, Servus, which means servant or slave, which reminds you that he used to be a slave. He's now king. He's the king of Rome because Tarquinius Priscus made him his heir. So after he was no longer king, Servius Tullius was king. And in 534, what happened to him? Tarquinius Priscus Superbus, his son or grandson, depending on the stories. So you already know how to spell that, but his name is Superbus. Kind of looks like Superbus, and we used to make fun of that in my class when I was in school. So it's Superbus. He kills Servius Tullius, who is his father-in-law too, and he makes himself king. And his own son, the seventh king's son, he does something really bad, which causes his king to be overthrown. His son goes out and rapes somebody, and then the people overthrow his throne. Brutus and Collatinus primarily lead a rebellion, and that's the end of the kings and the start of the republic, which is something we'll talk about another time. And I wanted to tell you where I got some of this information from, so if you wanted to read more about it, it's called ancienthhistory.about.com/od/kings of Rome. There are no spaces. And it will tell you about the early kings of Rome. Again, that's ancienthistory.about.com/od/kings of Rome. No spaces on the last part. Okay. I have this very old book, and I've never read it before, and I'm going to see if there are any stories about the kings that I didn't already know. Okay. These stories I already knew that I was sharing with you. That was coming from my information. But I didn't have the dates quite memorized, so I looked up the dates. But the stories I told you, I already knew. Okay. Okay, the city of Rome has 7 hills. But originally it was just founded on the Palatine Hill. And that's where Romulus founded it. And I knew that, but this is a refresher. Okay. Numa was taught to be a priest by Egeria, and that might be asked sometime. And her name is spelled Egeria. There is a lot more information about the 7 kings on that website, ancienthistory.com. Some of it is not really, stories and not particularly true, so I didn't really tell you those, but these are the list of the seven kings. Okay, you will need to know the seven hills of Rome, and you could look those up, but I will read them to you. You already know the Palatine. There's also the Aventine, the Caelian. That's spelled a little different, so I'll spell it for you. Kaelian, Esquiline, Viminal, Viminal, and Quirinal. Those are some of the things you would need to know, not only for history but for geography. They might ask you, what are the seven hills of Rome? And we've already had some words in Latin for geography, but I'll point them out. Roma, Rome, Italia, Italy. We've had Hispania, which is Spain. And then we've had Germania, which is Germany. And we've had Gallia, and I pointed out that's Gallia is France, but also portions of other things like Switzerland. Another one they'll ask is Lusitania. That's Lusitania. And that's Paris. That's a geography word they'll ask. They'll ask Caledonia. Caledonia. And in your book, your Latin book, they have maps in it. And you can look at that, and they're kind of hard to read. But I know that let's see, I don't remember what page it's on. But I know that you can look in that and see some of, that's even before the first chapter. There's a very good map for you to look at the Roman Empire, and it has different Latin words. And we can go over that later. And like Egyptus, that's definitely Egypt. Another culture thing we will do next time, we will talk about the Roman house. There's a picture of it in your book that we've already seen, but I want to talk more about it and include some of the words that are not included in it. But that is your culture moment for the time. Some things about the kings and the seven hills of Rome. So the seven kings and the seven hills, and I hope you enjoyed it. Don't forget you take notes for your notebook. So if you didn't do it, I took notes on my whiteboard. That meant you're supposed to take notes in your notebook. So if you didn't do it, go back and do it. Swallow.